Hello there, guys. Eric and Kim here to review Free Guy and hope my internet holds out long enough to finish this review because it's not doing great, but that's okay. So yeah, Free Guy is finally opening this week, another off-delayed movie of the pandemic era. Ryan Reynolds starring in this, of course, and this is where he plays an NPC in a video game, a non-playable character who starts to become self-aware and starts to go off the path he is supposed to go in this game after he meets Jodie Comer's character and starts to fall for her. And we start to learn a little bit about where she is from in the real world, how that is affecting him in the game. So we're going to do a non-spoiler review here, but we're going to give our overall thoughts. So Kim, Free Guy, when you saw it and it ended and it cut to credits, what were your first thoughts on it?
Overall, I found it sporadically funny. I mean, it was more funny than not funny, and charming. And refreshing, especially in these dark times. But I would say that I felt like the story was stretched out a little bit. It felt quite a thin story to me, and therefore it felt a little bit too long. It was 20 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes too long for me.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's a pleasant movie. It ended and I was like, that was pleasant, and it's got such a good setup. Like the hook is so good about, what if an NPC in a video game realized, that was his role. But I do agree with you. It's like, it just felt like there needed to be a little something more, and maybe a little way they could have merged maybe some of the stuff in the real world and the game world more. Because I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's sporadically funny. There's a few big laughs, I'd say, in the movie, and other times you're chuckling. So yeah, it's enjoyable, but I didn't think that there was it's not a rush out and see movie, but it's a good sit back and relax movie. Would you agree with that?
I think I agree, but yeah, I would say that a lot of the charm and humor comes from the cast, who I thought were excellent. Even the supporting cast. Obviously, Ryan Reynolds is always watchable and dependable. But then I thought I was really surprised by Joe Keery, who is, of course, Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, and the kind of energy and humor he brought to his role. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised because he brings that in Stranger Things, but it was a more grown-up role for him as a games dev. And in his kind of partnership with his colleague Mouser, I would have quite liked a bit more of that because they were good together. But yeah, a great supporting cast.
Yeah, the cast is really strong here. We should mention Sean Levy directed this movie, who is best known for the Night at the Museum trilogy and Stranger Things, where he's one of the executive producers and directs a couple episodes a season. There's the Joe Keery connection of it. And the screenplay was written by Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn. And yeah, it's like there are moments of it that are really fun, but then maybe it just kind of gets a little slower at points. But I agree with you. The cast is a real high point of it. Ryan Reynolds is doing his Ryan Reynolds thing, but in a way that works extremely well here. And then you've got Taika Waititi as the owner of the company that made this game, just playing a douchebag, just a very arrogant, full of himself thing that Taika can kind of give such a fun spin on. And I agree, Joe Keery has sort of great chemistry both in the office, but then also him and Jodie Comer's character have like this history as developers together that I thought was good. So it's a little strange because you're kind of watching two movies the entire time. Jodie Comer gets to star in both of them, but they're very sort of split. What did you think sort of the back and forth, and did you think that they did that well? Personally, I would have liked the way that they could have maybe connected them a little more.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. They did feel a bit disconnected. When I think back, actually, I would have liked a bit more time exploring the in-game world, I think. But one thing about Jodie Comer, I'd say I wish she could have been funnier because she's got real comedy chops, and I have this thing about women not being allowed to be as funny as the guys in movies, and I think that was the case here. In Killing Eve, although if you've seen Killing Eve, anybody watching, it's a dark subject matter. She is great actually comedically in it. So I would have liked to have seen a bit more of that. One of the things that I loved about this film actually was the way it tackles the idea of AI becoming sentient. Most movies that tackle that. It's really dark, and you know, it's Armageddon type thing. But here, it's much more positive, and they talk about, or they tackle the ethics of, if this actually happened, how would we view these beings? Would we attribute them with humanity?
Yeah, I completely agree that it is an optimistic look at AI, which is very, very rare. It's not the robot holocaust coming to get us. Maybe that's the sequel. And I do agree with you about Jodie Comer. It's interesting. This was the first thing I'd seen her in. I have not seen Killing Eve. It's on my list. And I really liked her, but I also agree with you that she is kind of saddled with the straight woman role in this a lot, especially in the video game. I actually think she gets to be a little more fun and quirkier in the real world stuff. But in the video game, yeah, I wish she got a little more to do. I forgot to mention that Little Rel Howery plays Buddy, Guy's friend, and he gets a lot more sort of fun stuff to do. So I liked her a lot as an actor, but I did think, yeah, let her be funnier, especially because she is the only prominent female character in this movie. There's a couple others from the game, but no one has big overall. Well, you know, and I know we don't want to get into spoilers here, but like, was there something that kind of popped out as your favorite element or favorite performance in the film?
I think it was really, well, apart from, you mentioned Lil Rel as Buddy, he for me stole the film. Yeah, every time he was on screen, it just lit up, and his chemistry with Ryan Reynolds was great. Was one of there's a series of double acts in this film, and that was the best. That was my favorite. But it was things like some of the small touches, and I won't go into spoiling cameos and references. But there was this one element with a kid playing cosplay, blue shirt guy. That's not a spoiler, I hope, but which I loved. And I hope that means that we're going to see lots of blue shirt guy cosplayers at Comic-Con next year.
Yeah, and I think they definitely have fun with the idea of the glimpses we get the gamers sort of playing this game. And the idea of the real world versus what's happening in the game itself is really good. And yeah, there's some really good cameos. And there's one, I'm going to dance around this because I don't want to be spoilery. I'll say there's a moment in the movie that scared me a little because I thought, are they about to turn into Space Jam 2 and be like, we can use a lot of IP because Disney owns us. But it's just a brief little moment. It's like, I think they have some fun with something and then they move on in a way that it was not what I was concerned about, especially with one of the writers of Ready Player One on this movie. I was like, it's not trying to be what and I have to say, by the way, I don't know, Kim, if it's the same for you. This movie had a huge uphill battle for me because I was so sick of the trailer. I'd seen it over and over and over and over again. So the fact that I thought this movie was okay, I think is a victory in itself. Were you equally as sick of the trailer?
Yeah, I agree. And because you know exactly what you're getting from the trailer, and there aren't any surprises. And like I said at the start, it is kind of a thin story that's stretched out. So yes, to come away thinking, actually, I quite enjoyed that was a relief. And yeah, a nice way to spend a couple of hours on whatever evening last week I watched it.
Right. Lastly, inevitable sequel question here. They clearly leave the door open for more. Would you be open for more of Free Guy World?
I'd be open for it as long as we get a lot more Buddy and Guy. But I can live without it. You know, there's so many sequels I'm more excited for.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I was not like itching to. I need more of this world. Yeah, it's a past the time movie, which in and of itself is a victory. I think it delivers what you want as far as with the Ryan Reynolds comedy with this high concept. Could have been a little tighter. But overall, it does the job. What would you give it out of 5 stars? What would you give it, Kim?
I'm going to give it a generous 3.
I'm exactly with you. I'm also giving it 3. Yeah, just for that, you know, it's entertaining. It crosses the line of the middle point because It was something fun to watch, and that's all we asked for, right? So guys, that is our thoughts on Free Guy, which is in theaters. It's in theaters only, but then 45 days later it'll be available in some means of digital after that. So thanks for watching, and keep it here for plenty more at Fandom.